So now to kick things off, they wrote one of the most original romantic love songs that you may remember Howard singing to Bernadette. Of course, we're talking about If I Didn't Have You, and here to perform a very special Comicon version of it, please welcome Kate McCucci and Ricky Lindholm, Garfunkel and Oates.
What's up, guys? All I know is we are nailing this. Okay, so this is a special version of If I Didn't Have You from The Big Bang Theory to you guys. If we didn't have you, life would be blue. We'd be Doctor Who without the TARDIS, a candle without a wick, a Watson without a crick. I'd be a Halloween treat without a trick. We'd be cheese without the Mac, jobs without the Wozniak. We'd be solving exponential equations using bases not found on your calculator, making it much harder to crack. An atom without a bomb, a dot without the com, and we'd probably still live with our mom. Ever since I met you, you turned my world around. You supported all my dreams and all our hopes. You're like uranium-235 and I'm uranium-238, almost inseparable isotopes. We couldn't have imagined we'd get to sing this song for the Big Bang Theory fans at Comicon. If we didn't have you, life would be dreary. We'd be string theory without any string, a binary code without a 1, a cathode ray 2 without an electron gun. We'd be Firefly, Buffy, and Avengers without Joss Whedon. We'd speak a lot more Klingon, and we'd probably still live with our mom. We couldn't have imagined we'd get to sing this song for the Big Bang Theory fans at Comicon. Oh, we couldn't have imagined we'd get to sing this song for the Big Bang Theory fans at Comicon. Thanks!
Thank you, Garfunkel and Oates. Thank you. Welcome to the Big Bang Theory Writers Panel, everyone. Just a couple of business notes. Writers are, in essence, shy and retiring creatures, nerdy, if you will forgive the word. And writers on the Big Bang Theory are the most extreme example of that the world has ever seen. These people are so uncomfortable right now, I can't begin to tell you how much I'm enjoying it. This is the only sitcom that I have ever heard of that has a science consultant. And it's my belief that they only have a science consultant because you people are so nitpicky. Without any, we'll get to audience questions in just a minute. I have a few questions of my own before we begin. Pretty much to anyone who cares to answer. Probably, I'm looking for someone with a little bit of seniority here. But
or age.
Who was the genius that decided to kill off Professor Proton?
That was my fault.
Why? You bastard.
Well, The Big Bang Theory at the time had been nominated for 3 Emmy Awards and hadn't won any. And Bob Newhart came on the show one time and got one. And I just thought to myself, we have to kill this guy.
He's pretty good.
He was, but he can come back in
Well, yeah, that's the good news about it. Yeah, there's really no death in sitcoms. Yeah. How did he feel about it when you told him he was going to die? It was,
well, Chuck, Lorre, and I called him on the phone, and I think it started off with Chuck saying, "Hey, Bob, so good news, bad news. We want you back on the show, but we want you to die." And I asked him, "Are you familiar with Star Wars?" And he said, no, because he's Bob Newhart. And,
that's the fastest I've ever heard him speak, right there.
So I had to give him like a 3-minute crash course on Star Wars and Luke and Obi-Wan. And then once he understood what we were trying to do, he was actually very into it and very excited.
How did you manage to get James Earl Jones, who was in Star Wars after all, and is probably quite proud of it, on the show? Was he an easy get?
When we approached him, he was very excited to do it, and he was as delightful to work with as he was on the show. And in that same episode, we also managed to get Carrie Fisher. And one really cool thing was James Earl Jones did the voice of Darth Vader, but he was never on the set. So on the Big Bang Theory stage was the first day that James Earl Jones and Carrie Fisher ever met in person. What? And when they approached each other, the first thing Carrie said was, "Dad." That is a true story. That actually happened.
Who over the years have you got on the show that you're particularly proud of? Obviously the people we've just talked about, but I mean, there's been such an array of people. Who are you particularly proud or happy to have gotten on?
Well, Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
Because I don't know if David will correct me on the science, but we're under the impression he invented the universe. So I may have oversimplified his work.
Well, are you one of the more recent members of the? Because you seem much younger and more attractive than the other writers.
Craig. Yeah, I've been on the show. I think we're kind of up here by how long we've been on the show. So Jeremy and I are newer staff members. We've been on about 2.5.
Now, is that an intimidating thing to walk into a show like this where everything is established and they have their ways?
Do we look intimidating?
And then you walk in with your young people's ideas about things.
They're adorable. Oh, yes, he says yes. Yes, there's a lot of, it's intimidating. I mean, writing is hard and difficult, but, you know, you walk into a room where, like you said, we get to talk about Star Wars and we play D&D together, and
I think it's also important to remember that when this show began, and it's easy to forget this, but when the show began, this kind of thing was not as popular. It wasn't like the networks were saying, let's make a show about geeks and nerds.
Right.
I mean, when it started, there was a lot of scoffing within CBS. There was a lot of kind of, yeah, that'll work. Yeah, Chuck's finally lost his mind. You know, and it was...
But we never set out to do a show about geeks or nerds. We were making a show about people we knew.
Right.
And the basis for the original basis for the characters was guys that I knew when I had been a computer programmer, and I started talking to Chuck about those guys. And then we changed it. We didn't want to be programmers because that had over the years become like the Microsoft money thing, and we didn't want it to be that. But it was still, it was just based on people we knew and stuff we liked.
What about the point of you get to a situation now where you have a cast which is very well established and they know their characters very well, and hopefully everything's going to be fine. And do you now consult at this point in the life of a sitcom? Do you actually talk to the actors about how things would go, and do you take their input?
I mean, we do talk to them. I get excited about the stories we're doing, and I'll often tell them, hey, this is coming up. And, Johnny Galecki has told me that he actually enjoys that and finds that helpful because he knows, sometimes it's just words on a page and it's not readily apparent the tone or the mood we're going for. So it's very helpful for us to talk about it.
Are you encouraging of young people? Well, let me ask them. I mean, is it an easy place to work your way into? Because it's not a huge writer's room, really. I mean, if this is all of you guys, it's not huge.
I was a writer's assistant for 2 years, so I eased my way into it and just got some jokes on TV, and they promoted me, and that's how I eased into it. So.
And I was a fan of the show, so I was familiar with the characters, and then I worked on the show, like Jeremy, as an assistant for a couple seasons before.
And let's work our way up to the more seasoned writers as we go along. So what was your experience like coming in?
It was great. I had worked with Steve Malaro and Steve Holland before at Nickelodeon, so I had an easy transition as far as that goes.
How about you? How long into the show before you interviewed and got the job?
I was on season 3.
Okay, so that's quite early.
There is a weirdness with the actors, though, because you've been watching the show and experiencing these characters, and then you spend all your time imagining these characters, and then you meet them, and they look like somebody you think about all day long, but you don't know them. Like, it's weird. It's awkward.
Yeah, it is.
You want to be like, what would you do in this situation? Because I can't think of it. Tell me.
That's kind of handy. And next?
Same. The three of us joined in season 3.
Right. Okay.
So the show hadn't quite taken off. It sort of really took off. I don't know. I'm gonna say there's a correlation between when we joined, and I'll leave that to you guys. You can make your own call on what you think about that. But.
And yes.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, it was just every different show you go on has a different language, and it takes a little while to kind of learn the language of that show and the dynamic and find your place in it. But I was very fortunate to come on board when these guys did, so we could get together at the end of the day and cry, and we would rotate offices, whose office we would cry in, just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm failing. So do I. Oh, good, I'm not alone. And then, thanks. This is really therapeutic. Thank you all.
And Dave and Eric, you guys have been on since the beginning, is that right?
No, Dave has been on since the beginning.
Right.
I joined at the beginning of season 2.
Season 2.
Eric, didn't you get your interview because they got the wrong Eric Kaplan?
Yes.
This is true.
There cannot be
Eric Kaplan
two.
was supposed to come for a meeting, and somehow wires got crossed, and this Eric showed up.
Yeah, Johnny wanted the Eric Kaplan, the gaucho from Patagonia, with one of those bolos that he would swing. And then I think Jess Amber said, he was like, well, he's a gaucho. This other Eric Kaplan wrote for Futurama, so she made the executive decision to send my resume to Bill Prady here.
We had met in New York a long time ago when Eric wrote for Spy Magazine, which was, I think, sort of the heir to, in a way, to Mad Magazine.
It was the Mad Magazine of the go-go 80s, that's correct.
For grown-ups.
Right.
But I'd known him in New York. And I didn't know until afterwards we'd had the wrong Eric Kaplan. Because when you came in, I said, oh, yeah, I know this guy. He's very funny.
Eric Kaplan's, I mean, this is not true of other names, are pretty fungible. So all Eric Kaplans, we get together, there's a sort of they don't exceed a certain level of quality, but we also make sure we don't drop below a certain level of quality.
Now, before we go to questions from the floor, Dave, you're the only person that hasn't said a word so far. How's it going, man?
Why do you think I've been here for 8 years? I know, I will say, when we first started season 1, it was incredible because we didn't know the show, but what we had was Bill's experiences rooting it in real life and Chuck's experiences of having created so many shows. And that was just an incredible positive force. And I remember pitching once before we'd even had the first table read of the second episode, and I pitched an idea, and Chuck looked at me and he said, if we do that, you will ruin the show. And I said, well, let's not do that.
All right, we're now going to go from, we're now going to take some questions from the floor, I believe. Do we have that set up? Yes, we do.
I think those stairs are the only exercise those guys get.
We had a guy in. They need parts, so we're waiting. The thing about the elevator and the stairs. So there are a couple of problems in shooting a sitcom, and one is, where do you shoot a scene where people walk and talk? So you can shoot it in a car where they sort of drive and talk, or you can kind of do, a little outside set or something like that. But what the stairwell gave us was a place to have walk and talk conversations that was organic. So to make that stairwell, they dug a hole in the floor of Stage 25 at Warner Brothers when we did the pilot, and Stage 25 is the best stage to shoot in. And when we got picked up to series, they said, well, we're going to move you to another stage, which was the worst stage. And Chuck Lorre said, great, just dig a hole in that stage. And they said, oh, okay, well, then you can stay where you are. So.
There was no grand plan at the time for Bernadette and Amy to go on and become the major staples in the show that they are. They did one appearance, and we loved them in their auditions, and it just worked out, and we thought, they're great. Let's put more of them in the show, and that's how that happened. And it's kind of how we go at all these things. If we get somebody and we add them and it seems to be going well, we'll do more. I would argue that they do have their own weird brand of happiness right now. That kiss moment on the train, I think, is pretty good proof of that. So. And one other, just while we're talking about the kiss, that was such a stressful time in the writer's room. Like, we were sweating and pacing and trying to get that moment right, to the point that there is a version of the kiss scene that we wrote, a completely different version of it that we wrote that no one has ever seen, because we were so panicked that we needed to get it right.
What happened in the different version of the kissing?
He was, in the other version, in the version that's on TV, he kind of went at her, and he was mad because he felt that he was tricked to go on the train. And
Right.
there's a kinder, gentler version where he kisses her just because he's having such a lovely experience on the train. But I'm really happy with the way we did it, so.
Yes, I like that one too. Easy, easy. This is a PG panel. Come on.
What spirit are you asking that in? I mean,
Because you're asking if his interest is purient? Is that?
well, no. I'm wondering, like, in a sense, if you're relating to the show almost as if it's real, and you're enjoying it as something that you have an emotional connection with, you would feel bad to hear that the motley collection of people on this panel have figured it out and are planning it, right?
Eric Kaplan, killer of dreams.
No, I'm trying to keep the gentleman from killing his own dreams.
But
I think we're wandering into theology here a little bit.
Uncomfortable direct questions from Eric are a big part of the writer's room experience that you're now having, that we all have from time to time.
No, I'm actually trying to be supportive. I feel like you have a certain enjoyment that you're going to get from watching the show, and I'm wondering if you've thought through that if you ask us, supposing we said, your question was, is Amy ever going to be happy? And we said, no. She's never going to be happy. It might make your relationship to the character of Amy kind of different, I think.
Does that answer your question?
Or does it just scare you? I mean, I think for me, and I'm in a great position because my relationship to the show these days is part-time, so I get to come in and see what Steve and the guys have done. And the amazing thing about these two characters is that Sheldon will not move at all, and Amy will not let him not move. And it's this, just watching Amy move Sheldon is incredible. Because I will say there's absolutely no way Sheldon would ever do such and such, and then Steve will get angry, and then and then show how that would happen, and you look at it and you say, yeah, that would move him. That would, and a lot of it has to do with Sheldon doesn't want to lose Amy. He doesn't want to be with Amy on her terms, but he doesn't want to lose her, and so that lets him move forward. Also, everything Eric said.
Yes.
As delightful as we seem right now, we can get old after a while, trust me.
I calculated, I think we spend 1,500 hours a season together.
I think the myth is that, for actors, working on a sitcom is actually a dream job. It's quite easy and you don't really have to work that hard. But for writers, it's an extremely difficult job. These guys work very late at night, and really, it's not a fun business being funny. Look at them.
This is as good as we look, I think.
Yeah. Many of these people are in sunlight for the first time this year. You, sir, are the real deal. Welcome to Comicon 2014.
You passed our test. Good job, Steve.
If I remember right, that was Maria's pitch. I don't know. No. The Comicon thing actually did come from our experiences of buying tickets to Comicon many, many years. Comicon did change the system this year a little bit, where they also don't tell you what number you are in line. I'm not saying they did that to screw us, but we're on to you, Comicon.
Okay.
We wanted to see if there would be someone who would spot it and could be inducted into the secret order of Big Bang Gaff Squad heroes.
And believe it or not, the real thing of buying tickets where you just stare at the screen and don't say anything, not as interesting on TV as you might imagine. Good to have them. They're earning some money. They should say words.
May I interrupt just for a second? I have a question of my own. This season, Penny was cast with Will Wheaton in the low-budget movie Serial Apist.
Yes.
Yes. Is there any chance we'll ever get to see the whole movie? Is that something that may happen?
Well, we're kind of busy writing the TV show, so probably not.
I think people would enjoy it.
Well, we might have a movie trailer as if Serial Apist was going to happen, which it's not, but we might have a trailer that we can show you right now.
Good grief, not a serial apist. Who are you under there? Good to see you.
Welcome. Please join us.
Put your sign in front of the light.
Well, welcome, Will Wheaton, of course, the man behind Serial Apist. Well, is there any chance if there was a Serial Apist movie, would you do it? I think it would work.
Yes. Yes, I've actually pitched a lot of story ideas to Steve.
How close are you to actually making that happen? Because I'm in. I want to be part of this.
You know, we're not, but every time we talk about it, we get really excited. The idea that this really hot girl is slowly turning into a gorilla is kind of great.
We have the mask.
When we worked on the episodes where that show was talked about, every time, I've fake orangutan hair in my mouth. Every time we talked about it, we got more and more excited about how we wanted it to be a real movie.
I think it should be a Kickstarter campaign. Do a Kickstarter campaign, and you can all pay for it, and then go to see it. I think it'd be great.
Fun, and Kaley loved having that hair glued to her. So
That's not the way I remember it.
No. The word wasn't love?
No, it was, I think if you were to take the concept of love and then fill up all the space in the known multiverse, you would get Kaley's emotion at the other end of that.
Well, you play yourself, of course, on the show. How close is that to who you are? Are you really, because, you know...
I am not as evil, as far as anyone knows, as evil Will Wheaton started out. When the relationship between Will Wheaton and Sheldon sort of changed and he became more of an ally and a friend to him, that character started to shift a lot closer to who I am in my life. And
so what I'm hearing is a vague denial of evil, but not a very strong one.
Well, I mean, I think that's the most appropriate way to deny evil.
But we did accurately build your house on the stage.
You did. This is really funny. So Bill had come to my house for a housewarming party, and when Sheldon came over to my house for the party, I walked onto the set, and everything in that set looked like my house.
That's weird.
There's even a couch there that I wanted to buy for my house, but my wife talked me out of. And then we hung a lot of my art on the walls in there. That ridiculous Velvet Wesley Crusher painting is actually, I own that.
Sheldon is a hypochondriac, and I think that a lot of the things that he claimed when it gets to medical stuff, and we saw it when Leonard was dating a doctor, he does a lot of, if he says diagnosed with, that may have been by himself. Yeah. So there's a lot of Munchausen with Sheldon, and you can't take him at his word when he has a medical condition. You can also see her in the wedding on the roof.
Yeah.
So.
As the Google satellite camera pulls back really fast, and at the end of season 5 in The Wedding, you can see a big pink blob. That is Mrs. Wolowitz.
In a hat.
It's like a Bigfoot sighting.
Maybe on Nickelodeon or Nick Jr. Big Bang Babies, you could do the animated series, and they could solve crimes and.
There's no plans for babies at any point in the.
I don't know. Big Bang Babies, the cartoon series, coming next fall on.
There's a lot, because of who we are, there's a lot of, you heard about Eric's diatribe against Star Wars and why it's responsible for the ills of man, but Steve hates the Green Lantern.
If it makes you feeling better, I also don't like Green Lantern, so it's not just Aquaman.
I'm not a writer on the show, but I actually really like Aquaman.
Oh, boo. How dare you?
See, Eric, that's how you play to a crowd.
I get to play, I do the voice of Aqualad on Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. And I think it makes sense that for a planet that is primarily covered with water, you would have superheroes that exist in that environment.
From the beginning, the show has been written without a plan. So when you sit down to write an episode, you say, presented with what happens in this episode, what would the characters do? And that begins to define them. And there's no roadmap set out. It's the circumstance. You find out more about the characters. So.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at the growth of the guys on the show, I think you can point to the ladies for a big reason behind it.
But I think but also I think characters, in order to care about them, and Will was talking about how his character at first was kind of broad, and then that doesn't sustain after a while, and you have to find out who the character is. Otherwise, it's uncomfortable to watch. And so I think that's the natural evolution of all characters. Hopefully, if things are working well, is they become realer and you know more about them. And I have no end to that sentence.
At this point, we've come so far, it's a bit of a superstition for us. So it's wait till we have to wrestle if and when they do get married, how we get around that part. So
Would it be satisfying if we promised that at some point we'll reveal her last name?
Mary Quigley. Our costume designer, Mary Quigley.
Good taste,
I agree. He's got a lot of great shirts.
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. I'd like to thank the writers and science consultant, of course, Will Wheaton, for the Big Bang Theory. And on behalf of all of us here, I would like to apologize to the lovely gentleman who created the character Aquaman, who we all deeply love and adore. Thank you very much, everybody.
And we want to thank you guys.
Big Bang Theory.
We want to thank you guys for your support and for the show. We really appreciate it, and we love you guys. Thank you.